food and drink and ghosts, and perhaps even a few murders. You're all invited.
What's up, everybody? You're listening to the House of Ghouls podcast. I'm your host, Colby from Colby Does Horror, and as always, I'm joined by my two best friends, Taylor Complains and Ian Van Gool. Today is an extremely special day for me. Last episode we recorded, we talked about a guest wish list. The two people on my wish list were Spencer Charnas and Stephen Cognetti. Today, half of my wish list comes true because we are joined by the creator of not only one of my all-time favorite movies, but franchise itself. Today, we are joined by the creator of Hell House LLC, Mr. Stephen Cognetti. How are you doing?
Awesome. Thanks for having me on. This is awesome. Glad to be here.
This is an honor for us. This is literally one of my favorite movies ever. The franchise is amazing. And then number 4, the Carmichael Manor, scared the shit out of, I think, all of us.
Oh,
thanks for saying that. I appreciate it.
Taylor actually just watched Origins today before we started.
I have a clown thing. I'm like, I'm not the like Art the Clown is like a laughable clown, but you have like the most vehemently sinister and atmospheric clown. My day's ruined, I think. In the best way possible. Yeah. Is that what you wanted to elicit from people when you created that, like that character?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think the whole thing about clowns is they got to be scary, right? Or they don't work. And I think that for a while I wasn't liking clowns in cinema. I thought they were too overdone. Like, if you add the silly nose, the frizzy hair, then it all falls apart. And I think less is more when it comes to the clown. And the inspiration is kind of like those old, like 20s, 30s circus clowns is the style we're going for there. And I think they're creepier.
I love that you just said the less is more, because that's exactly what Taylor was saying before you jumped in the Zoom. So I thought Taylor put it brilliantly as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the whole theme behind it. Like pretty much every scare I write for all the films, it's just I feel like it's going to be scarier the less we're doing. I think if you overdo it, anything, then you kind of lose the effect. You lose the chill a little bit. So, and I think I've made that mistake a few times over the franchise, but I'm always trying to dial it back and always trying to make sure we stay to that principle that it's less is more.
Yeah, I love that. What I wanted, before we get into everything, I wanted to share with you my first experience of watching Hell House.
Okay.
So I am a huge found footage fan. Any new found footage movie I seek out. The first time I watched Hell House, I think it was in 2016, 2017, I want to say.
Yeah, that's right when it came out, yeah.
Okay, perfect. So I didn't miss it by much. But I was watching it with my ex-wife. We were still married at the time, but we were watching it in the middle of a summer day, like sunny out, nice day out. And we were on separate couches because we didn't really like each other. But the bedroom scene happened. Broad daylight too. The bedroom scene happened when she's sitting on the side of the bed.
Yeah.
No.
I literally got off my couch and went and sat next to my ex-wife. It's like, that might be one of the most terrifying scenes that I've ever watched, and that's literally all we do is watch
the bedroom. Wait, which?
For Hell House 1, when he goes under the covers.
Oh, I can't. We can't talk about this. I'm gonna relive it. It just happened like 3 hours ago.
So that traumatized me so fucking much, and this movie has just stuck with me and has become one of my favorites.
Awesome. Yeah. No, that's scary. I think a lot of people, when they talk about the original, that one being their favorite scare, when the girl's in the bedroom with Paul. Yeah.
It was just like, what's brilliant about your movies is you don't rely on cheap jump scares. The way you use imagery is just brilliant, I think.
Oh, yeah, thank you. I don't, you're right. And that's purposeful, that I don't want to include jump scares, because I feel like they don't last. If you just time something right, someone jumps out at the right moment and you raise the music at the right moment, you can easily cause anybody to jump. That's very easy, but it doesn't last anybody. Nobody remembers that. So you try to create the building rising tension kind of scares, and I think that resonates.
Do you think that you create movies with scares that scare you, like the person actually creating it, so that you can kind of like tell that to us? Or are you just kind of looking for things that like might be atmospherically scary or might just come off like they look great on film? Or is this like personal, like, oh, this scares me?
I think I think it's a little bit of the latter, but I think when in terms of the former, I think everything I write is very personal. So when I'm thinking up scares, I am in my own head thinking what would scare me, in any situation. So when I'm with these characters, like you said, you just watch Carmichael Manor, and you have Chase alone in the manor, and in broad daylight. The girls just left the house. What could happen to him that would be scary? And then a lot of ideas will come to my head of things that would they could. But some of them involve jump scares, so they go out of my mind really quick because I don't want that. So then I just keep on brainstorming what is the way to scare us, but it's subtle. It resonates. It will last with us. It's unique, and it would give me a fright. And obviously, it's you try to be as original as you can, because I think it's so tough to make sure that you are original. We're not giving the audience something they've seen before. So I think it's a little bit of both, like trying to what personally scares me, and also just what fits for the atmosphere that we're trying to create.
That's awesome. I love it. And you're based in Pennsylvania, right?
Scranton, Pennsylvania, yeah, home of
Scranton.
the
Okay,
best
yeah.
paper in the world, yeah.
Ian Van Gool's right outside of Pittsburgh. So
Mhm. Yeah, Pittsburgh. Yeah, that's they're Western Pennsylvania. I'm northeastern Pennsylvania, right next to New York.
I like Scranton because I'm a big Office fan too.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, we sell the best paper. Nobody will beat Scranton prices on paper, and all your paper is
Love it, love it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But,
when you
okay.
were setting out to make Hell House, and it's obviously it's found footage. Did you want to make a found footage movie because you're a fan of found footage, or are you not such a fan of found footage that you wanted to make something that you would like as a found footage movie?
I am a fan of found footage, and long before I made Hell House, I've always been a fan of found footage. But the first draft of Hell House was not found footage. I think me being a fan of found footage is when I decided that it will probably be best for a lot of reasons to switch this script from the traditional narrative to found footage. And knowing that I'm a fan of that subgenre anyway, so why not? Why not write the next draft and from that angle? And it worked out better. It was just, I think it was just, obviously it's better for a lot of ways because we were going to have a short schedule and no budget, so it's like that, it helps that way. But also I just felt it was just a better way to tell the story anyways. So it was for both creative and for logistical reasons why I decided to move away from the traditional narrative to the found footage.
Were the characters
Lake
from the
Mungo
first?
was a huge fan. I'm a huge fan of Lake Mungo, so that's like that's and so as I watched back in the day when you were renting Netflix DVDs, you'd wait in the mail for them to come. My wife and I, then my girlfriend and then fiance, we were always just waiting for the next found footage movies to come. Anything we could horror wise, but if there was a found footage movie we hadn't seen on Netflix yet, DVD, we would get that in. And then I think I loved so much how Lake Mungo was done. I kind of felt like it was like found doc was the way to go with Hell House, because you can do that and it can be very scary. There's things you could do with scares that are different when it's a documentary as opposed to just a narrative.
I love that you said that because I just like digested Hell House like today. I just watched it today. And I felt like the documentarian style found footage, like the found footage doc style that you shot it in, kind of like it tricked me a little bit. I'm like, wait, this isn't real. This isn't, but it does trick me a little bit. It tricked me a little bit to the point where I was like, what? Well, like, you know what I mean? Like I'd open my doors and open my windows, and like I watched it in the middle of the daytime too in July, and it's still terrifying.
Yeah, it confused people too when I was showing the script to people. It was like I think it came off a little ambiguous on the page just because it's a found footage movie within a doc within another found footage movie. So it had like layers to it. And so reading it, a lot of people are like, "Wait, I don't get it. It's a found footage within a doc?" And I'm like, I know it sounds weird. Trust me, when I shoot it, it will make sense and it will come together. But then again, found footage is just weird anyways. It's a weird way of writing scripts, found footage wise, anyways.
1 and 4 were absolutely terrifying. 2 and 3, they also had very scary moments. But I noticed 2 and 3 because I just before I even reached out to you, I was doing a whole Hell House series for my TikTok channel of reviewing. I noticed it was a little bit more campier in 2 and 3. Did you mean
Yeah.
for the camp, or was it
No, it's tough to. There's things in 2 and 3 that I knew I got away from with my original, what I set out to do in the original, and I wanted I like where the story was going was intentional, and everything leading up to 3. But there were things in terms of like how I went about the scares, and that I kind of felt like I really wanted a redo on. But I genuinely think, everybody on the worked on those films were amazing. The actors and the crew were just great. But I wish I just kind of kept the same mold of the original in through those 2 and 3. Still having the same arc of the whole storyline, but but for me, 4 was, I wrote 4 because I really wanted to get back to what I love the most in terms of creating scares and stories. And I also felt that 2 and 3, especially when I got to 3, everything was getting a little stale, because I'm in the same location for the third film and trying to create new scares where we've been in these rooms over and over and over again. It was tough to finish the third movie, and really finding creative juice to get it, to make it seem like fun and original. And so 4 was a way to I just wanted to get out of the Abaddon Hotel. That's why I burned it down in the end of 3. So it's like we're done with that. And 4 was just like finding a new location, a new storyline. I just had so much fun writing the 4th one, just because it was just like I was out of the Abaddon Hotel, and I felt like I was just like free to just. I had more creative freedom. It was almost just like having a full blank page, nothing attached to it, and I could just go anywhere I wanted to. And that's why I think people are connecting with 4. People who like 1 are connecting with 4 a lot, because it was just getting back to basics on 4.
I love that you said that, because for me personally, like for 2 and 3, how you said it's in the same location every time, like that's where I find a comfortability with the movies and love everything about them. So I felt so comfortable, and I think that's why 4 was so effective as well, because it was so fucking different and the scares were different. You don't know like where everything is, like in the Abaddon Hotel. It was so effective.
Yeah, that helped a lot. It was just 4 was probably the most fun I've had in a writing process, of all the Hell House. It was so liberating being away from the Abaddon finally, and just writing a new original story, new original scares. It was just and then it all came together because everyone who worked on 4 was just the cast and crew couldn't have asked for anything better. Our location that we found couldn't ask for anything better. Just coming upon the Manor, that's the toughest thing filming a low budget indie horror is, how are you going to get these locations? And thankfully, not too far away from Scranton, Pennsylvania, is the Carmichael Manor.
That's awesome.
And it was when I walked through it for the first time, I said, it's almost like this was built. The builders knew this was going to be used in a horror movie, and like they knew that, and, like that was their intention with building it, and so we lucked out on that location.
Did you expect walking into Hell House 1 for 2024 to roll around, and like in 2025 we have a new Hell House movie coming out? Like, did that, like, you're going to be 5 films into the same franchise, and now you get to extensively start fresh from a new location and do new things with that same idea. Like, how does that feel?
It feels it feels good. I am excited to obviously move on to original stories and move away from Hell House eventually. But I had a story to tell with 4 and with 5. And so when I started writing 4, I knew this was a new story that I wanted to complete. I just didn't want to do one movie. I was like, if I start down this path, I know there's going to be 2 movies with it, at least. And it's just good that people are enjoying them. So if nobody's enjoying them, obviously I'm not going to make another one. But people, fans are great. Horror fans across the board are great. And the ones that have appreciated Hell House are great as well. And it's just been people have been reaching out to me on social media. It's just been it's lovely, so nice, and it just I'm just so humbled by everyone's kind words, and that adds fuel to the writing process. Like, okay, everyone seemed to like four, and I want to make sure that if I'm going to make a fifth one, it's going to be worth it. And it's going to be worth their time. If they're going to get invested into the story with me, then I better make sure that five is worth their time. And I am very excited about five. It's just everything about five coming up. It's just and I knew that going into it. It has been planned before. Four didn't just had success, and I was like, okay, well, screw it, I'll make a fifth. I had always this is a storyline I wanted to pursue for a while, and I'm glad that because people appreciated four, then I'm going to get the opportunity through Shudder to make the fifth. So that's great. And if nobody liked it, obviously, then Shudder would be like, yeah, we're good. We're good on Hell Houses. So
there's two main things that stand out to me when I'm thinking about Hell House, the franchise. The clowns, obviously, and the music. So there's the few notes that they play on the piano in most, if not all, the movies.
Yeah.
I love that music. First of all, loved it so much that we included it in our intro music. Hope you don't mind.
Yeah.
I figured out how to play it, so I put it in there.
Oh yeah, it's very simple. Yeah.
But where did that come from? Was that your idea? Did you come up with the music, or
No? Well,
what was it about that?
What's in the original script is that Paul plays a familiar jingle that he's just screwing around the piano one day, and it catches on camera that he plays a small little jingle. And the only thing I said in the script is that the jingle has to be memorable, because it has to, for the audience, has to, when they hear it later on after he's disappeared, and then it's playing in the middle of the night throughout the house, then you have to recall, oh, that's the jingle that Paul was playing. So that's the only thing I was specific about in the script. I wasn't specific with notes, like it sounds like this in the script. So when we got to set, I actually just asked Gore Abrams, who plays Paul, I was like, hey, screw around the piano for a little while we're setting up, and if anything fun comes, show it to me and show me what you got. And he came up with this jingle. He's like, how's this? And he showed it to me, and it's exactly what I wanted, which is very short, simple, and memorable too. You know it when you heard it, and you hear it again, you're going to remember it. And so he nailed that, and I think that was perfect. So he nailed it so that I think it was fun to just recall it in more often throughout the films, because it was created within the Abaddon Hotel. So literally, and in the film world and in our world, in the production world, everything about that was created right inside the Abaddon Hotel. So it kind of just felt like it lived there. It had some more meaning because of its literal and figurative way that it was created inside of there. So I wanted to take that and use that more, and then spread it. And then in the fourth one, give it something more, even deeper life. And I was so excited when I tried to put words to it, and they fit. And then when I'm not a songwriter, obviously, but like when I was able to just put a couple words to that and then play it out and be like, oh, it works, it actually works. And these words worked, and I was so excited about that, because I really wanted some cool, almost like haunting, but simple, because the music is simple. It's nothing complicated, but I just wanted something fun to accompany it, that when Catherine Carmichael plays it, and she just creeps herself out,
Yeah, it's so effective. And watching the fourth one, when that happens, that scene, it was I got chills, and it was the Leonardo DiCaprio meme of him pointing at the TV.
yeah, I know.
Like, it works so well.
What's that? Once Upon a Time in Hollywood? Is that what that's? Yeah.
Sorry, I had to mute my mic. My kids were screaming for a sec. But no, Ian, I'm glad you brought up the score for that, because my two favorite modern scores are It Follows and the jingle for the Abaddon Hotel. Literally my favorite things.
It Follows. So what an incredible film. Love that so much.
Yeah, some of my friends hate it, and it bugs me, but that's okay, right, Taylor?
Dude, I saw it one time and I was like,
I actually had the privilege of working with the colorist for It Follows on a film I made in 2021 that still has not come out yet, but that is a whole different story. But Mark Todd Osborne, he's just a brilliant colorist, and I nerded out with him. I was like, dude, I love the color palette for It Follows. will you come on board for 825? And he did, and it was such a great guy to work with too. Yeah, he says he gets that a lot from people that reach out to him and be like, "Love It Follows. Can you please work on my film?"
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So another big question I had is, when you finished everything with Hell House, did you have any issues with finding, like, I know I obviously Terror Films picked it up, but did you have any issues finding someone to pick the movie up?
No, I always tell the story. No, actually, I don't always tell the story. I think I've told it once before, but the only thing is, I tried. I was naive to how it all went, and any filmmaker that's just making their first feature does all their internet research. What is the festival circuit like? What's distribution like? And I tried to go to the festival, so I sent it to a few festivals, and it got denied from one. One, it got denied from South by Southwest, which is fine. South by is a huge festival, and this is a little indie film. And so it was like one of those, and applying to festivals, just like applying to college. You have your reach festivals, you have your ones you think you can get into, the mid-tier ones. And South by, rejected it, which I expected, but they also rejected it with criticism. And they emailed me notes from people who watched it, and one of the panelists said, "Not remotely scary at all." And
The first one?
the first one, yeah.
Oh,
And I remember, so today, if you were going to put that into a meme of how I felt, it has put me in that, the Michael Jordan meme, and I took that personally.
I
yeah.
love that.
So that was funny though. But yeah, it got into the Telluride Horror Fest, which is just such a fun festival. It just gets a great horror fans to come out, like people like horror fans descend on this small town in October. And such a fun festival of good, like indie films. They get some bigger name films as well, and it got into there, and the audiences enjoyed it, and that was fun. And then it was like right around that time when Terror Films reached out, and I think I had sent them a copy of it, and just I had no delusions that this was going to be like some Blair Witch miracle movie where it, go to theaters, and I knew this was going to be a VOD film, and I was fine with that because I just wanted it to get an audience. And I think at that time is when VOD was starting to be the place for movies to find audiences over. So you didn't really need theatrical anymore. And so I was very happy to team up with Terror because Terror was going to get it on all the platforms, and they'll say, it's up. Then it's on the platforms there to see. People will see it if they want to. That's all I could ask for, and then from there to see if it could spread by word of mouth and hopefully get an audience built up from there.
I'll tell you this: the Blair Witch didn't scare me in the middle of the day. You did twice, but like for long spans of time. Like there's 4 Hell House films. There's 2 Blair Witch films. Well, some people don't even consider Book of Shadows to be, but I mean, there's technically 2 Blair Witch films. 4 Hell House films.
Thank you for saying that. But I love Blair Witch. I know people either love it or hate it. I know this is very divided in the horror community. I personally love it, and not just because it's found footage, which is always near to my heart, but I loved it just because I thought it was brilliant. When you're talking about less is more, so little was done to actually try to scare you, and that's, you never saw a witch, but it was so terrifying. I think it was terrifying because you never did, and that added a sense of realism to it because they never went over the top, so it really made you, this could be real, and it felt more real because they didn't do any of that stuff. And I thought it was brilliant with scaring you with the unknown.
I mean, I remember when the MTV Movie Awards happened and they had all the actors from the movie come on, and they were like, "Hey, stop going into Maryland and looking for this place. This is like in 1999." Like they had to come out and say, "Hey, this was not real," because people were getting hurt going to camp and look for this Blair Witch.
Yeah,
it was so effective in like actually making us think in 1999 when I was like a teenager that this was real.
Yep.
So as you're an indie horror director yourself, are you a big fan of the indie scene as well?
Yeah, in terms of horror movies, yeah, for sure.
Do you have any like top favorite indie horror as of like recently?
Oh my goodness. No, can't remember. Just in the last few years, my wife and I have been watching less and less, and so I probably watch like 2 movies a year anymore, just because we're just so busy, especially with the kids. But I mean, this isn't indie, but I just saw last weekend Long Legs, and I think it's my new favorite horror film ever. I loved every second, every single frame of that film. I loved.
Ian and I loved Long Legs. Taylor was
Absolutely.
not a fan, and he put a bad review out, and it went absolutely viral on TikTok. And he was harassed so much.
I got the king's justice on that, Stephen. I put out a bad. So and this is going to lead to a question because I'm annoying like that. As a film reviewer, I never want to dislike things. I saw a film called The Outwaters a few months ago. I did not like it upon first watch. I watched it a second time and I thought it was absolutely brilliant because I read it like accompanied by like the wiki plot explanation of what it was supposed to be about versus like what I interpreted from first watch. I never want to dislike things. Do you find that like as a filmmaker that you have such an appreciation for the craft that like you rarely see things that you don't like because you know what it takes to put something like that together? And
Yeah,
like all the
100%. Like
time?
I would never criticize a film because I think anything, if you don't like a film, it's just because it's subjective, but it's like the filmmakers, that's the filmmakers, that's their vision. That's what they put out there. So I don't like criticizing films because it's just it's a subjective view of something where it's not, you can't say something is good or bad by any one viewer to the next. I appreciate what went into the film and the director having a vision and going about that. And if that, and for some reason doesn't pan out with a lot of audiences, I don't think that's because the movie was bad. I just think it's just that was their vision and they went with it. And so I would never criticize any film. So especially when it comes to horror, I just think horror is just, it's just great. So like and you can say that the good ones, the bad ones, like they're all like they're doing the same. It's just, I love consuming horror so much. And you're talking about indie films. So before kids, my wife and I used to see a lot of indie, especially a lot of indie found footage though. So like I'm thinking of movies like Pontypool, Last Exorcism, like things like that are under the radar, but they're just so good. So like I used to when we weren't exhausted with the kids and going to bed like by 9 p.m. we would consume a lot more. And so now I feel bad that I don't consume as much as I do anymore. But when I told my wife, I'm like, when Long Legs comes out, I told her this months ago. I think when I saw the first trailer in like February, I'm like, I don't care what's going on, I'm getting to that theater. All right. And what happened was it was playing the same time that the new Despicable Me was playing. So I was able to take the kids with their grandpa, put them in Despicable Me while I went across the hall and saw Long Legs.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, and that was just so fun. But yeah, no, to get back to your question though, I think it's a subjective art that you can't say is bad because that's not what art is. So I would never criticize it.
I am doing my very, very best to challenge myself to like maybe watch it, read about it, and then watch it again so that maybe I can like reignite a perspective or a fresh perspective. Because I don't think it's worth anyone's time to walk into something with like the intention to not like it. And I think Long Legs was my like most anticipated movie of the year almost, aside from Alien Romulus, because I'm a big Fede Alvarez fan. And I wanted to love it so badly. So I'm excited to watch it again with like a new perspective and like just I don't know, just the same attitude.
Like, it's like every single frame was like so intentional and I don't think you see that in films, especially in horror films. You don't see where every shot is purposely done and it's just nonstop keeps you chill going through your body and it doesn't let up. Now, granted, it doesn't have like a lot of like what we know as scares, like like the ghost popping out or whatever. It doesn't have a lot of those, but it just has that tension that just never stops throughout, and you're never comfortable in that film ever. And so it's just like I think it's just so brilliantly done for that reason, and also the acting was amazing. What's the actress Micah Monroe? She was
Micah Monroe,
yeah. So I my hat tip to the filmmakers on that, to Oz, and I just think that was just I don't think I haven't seen a film like that in so long, and I know I probably won't see one like that in a long time.
Speaking of subjective, so we're all three of us are creators on TikTok. We do like TikTok lives, and people come in and ask or throw out movies, and we give our opinions on them and stuff like that. Hell House always comes up, and I got to give my story quick and be honest with you. So the first time that I saw Hell House, I liked it. I didn't love it, but when I saw the director's cut, and I say this in chat all the time, I couldn't tell you what is different between the normal version and the director's cut, but whatever it is, it hit, and I absolutely loved it. So I guess it's kind of two questions, but the first one is, what is the difference between the normal version and the director's cut?
There's a director's cut.
I
I gotta go.
The director's cut is the only difference is that it has a longer title where we add director's cut to it. No, I'm kidding. It's got added scenes. So for instance, there's a little bit more in the beginning with Diane and how she introduces the the whole documentary. She talks right to the camera. And she talks about all the Hell House crew and how they died, and then we get into her story. But I think the biggest scene that I never got into the original cut, which I'm sad about, because I really liked the idea, the concept of the scare, but I think I just ran out of both time and money to just finish it. Not that it was like overly complicated, like budget wise, to get this shot, but it just couldn't do it. But it was the Google Street view of the Abaddon Hotel, and how Alex is always in the Google Street view of the Abaddon Hotel. Every time Google erases the image and goes back and does it again, he's there. He's always there. I thought that idea always gave me a chill, and so I was happy that I was able to finally like get the artwork that I needed done for it and put it into the director's cut. But there's like a few like small things like that. Like nothing grand. I would say it probably adds, I mean, a good chunk of time. I think it probably adds about like 6-7 minutes to the runtime, and you know, like actual new added scenes are probably like 6, 7, 8 minutes.
No, yeah, that works. So kudos to you, because yeah, watching the director's cut made me want to then watch the rest of the franchise, and now I'm a huge fan of it.
Yeah, and
So,
then also it has the all the like the added features to it. So it's like the way it was put out was like just one long. It was supposed to be just for the DVD, so the DVD would have menus of all these features. But then when you take that and you put it to the digital platforms, you know, you can't do the menu like on just streaming on Amazon. But so what they did, what Terra Films did, is like all the special features is like they did the full extended movie, but then like right after that it's like the behind the scenes, and then after that is the like another featurette about, you know, so it's just like plays out for like, you know, 2.5 hours, whatever it all comes out to be. Like auditions too, it was fun. I was able to add in the auditions with all the cast for the original as well, and because that was a long process, the casting process, but so if you get a chance to find that director's cut, it probably I think it's on Amazon or something in iTunes, but
Tubi.
it has all of those added stuff if you keep on watching.
okay, yeah, so yeah, it's on Tubi
Yeah,
as
like
well.
post credits, it has like a bunch of added like mini docs and stuff like that.
Okay, so yeah, my second question, that was the director's cut. Was that your idea to kind of do your full vision, or was
No,
it up to the
so
studio?
it was I know actually, so what happened was, I think it was like in 2017, 2018, so a DVD distributor came to me, and they were hard goods distributor, us, not digital, so it's separate from Terra Films, and they wanted to do a DVD release, and I was okay with that, but they said, is there anything, you know, if you wanted to submit a new version of the film or anything like that, would you be able to do that? I said, of course. There's scenes that like I would love to complete and finish now that I have the time to do it. Can I add that? And they were like, of course. So we'll just add that, and then I just added all the bonus stuff, like the behind the scenes stuff and all the casting stuff. But they gave me the opportunity. They said, if you have any scenes to add, like we could do that in this. You don't have to just do the original cut in this. Like we could do anything with this new DVD version. So they gave me the opportunity to add in. The only thing is that then I couldn't master the film in sound design, so it had just to go with like a stereo sound. It's not a surround sound like the digital releases got full 5.1 surround, but I couldn't redo that again without like paying thousands of dollars to have the film redone for that cut. So so I didn't do that, but that's the only downside to that.
Were any of your favorite films were you inspired by any of your favorite films to do the director's cut? Like maybe there's a film that you liked that you're like, oh, I love the director. I would love if there was a director's cut of this because it's my favorite film, or I want more of this.
No, there's no inspiration for that. It was just someone came to me and said, we would love to release this as DVD, and do you have any additional scenes? And I was like, I do. And it was especially that Google Street View. I wanted to make sure it got seen by people. And so I was happy to be able to do that. No, it wasn't an inspiration because it was somebody who came to me with the idea to release. For me, I wasn't, I think DVDs were something that I think like fans buy. I didn't see it as as a way to grow the audience. I kind of feel like digital was really where the audience was coming from, so I never pursued DVD. But there are hard goods collectors out there, people that like to just collect DVDs, and now I have a bigger appreciation for that now than I did when someone reached out to me, because I was like a DVD of this. And it didn't have any. Hell House had no following at the time. I was like, you want to make a DVD of this random indie, no name, sure. But now that I have a bigger appreciation for it, I'm really excited about the box set that's being made for all 4 films. So
I'll definitely be picking that up soon. I was looking at the website today.
Yeah. They came to me and they liked and they said they had a great idea for it, and they liked the things they wanted to do, and I was loving it, and this gave me the opportunity to add everything we could, all kind of like artwork that I was using as inspiration while making everything, and lots of fun stuff. I was really blown away. I was like, this will be, you're right, for especially for collectors, this would be well worth it.
So
do you have any favorite piece? Sorry, no, you go ahead, Colby. Sorry.
I was just gonna say one thing about Hell House and other found footage films. The thing that Hell House sticks out for me the most as well, besides the scares, is the cast. The cast is one of the most relatable, believable group of people, and my favorite character out of every movie is Mac.
Yeah, Max, right. And he's the only one. Well, no, he's not the only one, but I have known him for a while. So he was going to be in the film from when I wrote it, because he was an actor, like one of the few actor friends I knew. And I said, hey man, I want you in the film, and I got a part for you. It's Mac, and he's like, yeah, I'm in, got it.
I love that, because I felt like, for me at least, Mac was the most relatable character that I've seen in a very long time. And the part when he's making fun of the New Jersey accent, every time I watch the movie, I still lose it. When he's like,
and what's great about that is that and he's got a comedic background too. They all do. They're all funny in their own rights, but Adam Schneider, he did a lot of improv work and stuff like that, comedic stuff. So and that was improv. So that was not, I never wrote in the script make fun of the Bronx of Jersey accent. I never said that. I never wrote that, but I did have them, as every take went on in that scene, we would deviate from the script more and more, and they would be drinking. They were drinking during that, literally just had the big jug of beer, and they were passing that around, drinking it. So they were getting a little bit more tossed by the time we got to take 7, 8, 9, they were feeling it, and they were riffing, and then Mac had that line, and you see the laughter around them, so genuine, because that was the first time they heard him do that, and so because that wasn't a scripted line, so that was genuine laughter from just an improv line, and it was really perfect, because you see even Sarah and Paul are bursting out laughing so much, and so he did, that was a great line.
That's another thing. I was just gonna say that the chemistry is so organic between the characters in the first one. It's another thing that just resonates, and it's so simple, and I love that.
Yeah, no, it does. And we took our time casting. So we went through a lot. We had live auditions. We brought everyone in live. I first went through I would say at that time, probably hundreds of reels. Now when I'm doing auditions for Hell House, I'm going through thousands of reels. But at the time, we were so unknown that we only got a few hundred submissions, and I went through all of them, brought in whittled down the list to probably like, I don't know, like 20 or 30, brought them all in, and went through them. And then we brought them back like for chemistry reads too. So we really took our time putting these guys together, and I'm so happy the people we landed on for a lot of reasons. But as you said, like they gelled, and they're just genuinely good people. So like on set, they were just a lot of fun. They weren't just like, oh, my job's done for the day, I'm going back to my hotel room, close off everything, go and do my own thing. They were hanging out with each other, always, great with, hanging with the crew, hanging with the five of them, always hanging out. And for especially Alex, Alex came in, he auditioned for Paul, and I did not like him for Paul. So so he had went away, but I still couldn't find an Alex. I couldn't land on an Alex. So I said, why don't we bring him back in and try, and try him out for Paul, for Danny Bellini. Why don't we try him for Paul? And he came, tried him out for Alex, sorry. And then so the only thing I gave him to do for Alex was, I said, just tell me in an improv way, why you love to put on haunted houses. And he came in and just did this long improv of why he loves haunted houses and what he likes to do with Hell House every year. And it was perfect. And it was like, this is Alex. And that's how Danny got the part. But he originally came in for Paul.
Speaking of haunted houses, did you realize that this film would be like so meta? It's a film about a haunted house, and people are making a haunted house in the haunted house, and they live in the haunted house. Like, yeah. This is Cabin in the Woods level meta, I feel like.
Yeah, no, that was not the intention, but yeah, I didn't know it is a meta concept, but it was like, the intention wasn't like,
yeah,
how meta can I get with this? But yeah. it was just a concept that I think was fun, just because it's if something went wrong in a haunted house, how would you know? Because everybody's screaming and everything like that, so you would never know if anything was genuinely wrong. So I thought that you start with that idea, I thought that was a fun concept to play with, and then for me, I think any writer could have taken that different ways. I know some people did read the script and said, you should take this more in like a slasher way, not a paranormal way. Like like, someone's like killing people, like it's like throughout and that for me doesn't interest me. I do think that is like a concept that would be appealing to a lot of people and fun if it was more of like a slasher, but I'm a paranormal fan. I love a good ghost story. I'm not a whodunit slasher kind of guy at all. So the story has to speak to me, and when I just loved going about the story in a paranormal fashion. What happened on opening night of Hell House, something unknown but paranormal, I think is so much more fun for me to write than if it was what happened on opening night of Hell House. There was a killer on the loose in there. That doesn't do anything for me.
I feel like I don't agree with like this slasher advice that, but like the direction that it would have gone if it would have been better, because I don't normally like attach myself to paranormal movies as much as I would to a slasher, but this film gripped me immediately. So just from a perspective of like someone who doesn't usually like watch a lot of ghost films, this one I just immediately watched the next three and it was a breeze. Not a breeze because I was terrified, but like I was so attached to the concept. And like every single one was different. There's a haunted house. There's an old manor where like a girl's going to look. There's a reality TV show. Like I loved all the concepts of the film, and the paranormal aspect just kind of like pulled me in deeper, I felt like.
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah, I only wanted to make a scary paranormal style horror film. I never had any intention of that. But like when you give your script to people to get some feedback, you're going to get all kinds. Sometimes you're going to get great feedback and you're going to get some great notes, something to internalize and really think about. But then a lot of times you're going to be like, yeah, maybe it should be a slasher. And then you're like, okay, thanks for your time. I appreciate it. Thanks for reading the script, but I got it from here.
No, as a slasher, like I think it would have been entertaining, but the way
that's the thing. I don't think that's a bad, because that's the thing. I'm not saying slashers are bad. And I think there is a good, you could do something like, I think there has been films done like haunted houses where it ends up being a slasher, right?
Yeah, like Haunt.
Yeah. So like, that's the thing. It's not a bad concept. It just wasn't one that it was interesting to me. Yeah.
Yeah. Like the way you did it.
I just enjoyed the direction.
The way you did it, it sticks with you. Like this movie stuck with me since 2016. I watch it every single October now. So what you did with it and your vision, I think it was perfect.
Thank you.
Do you frequent haunted houses in the Halloween time?
Yeah. Well, every October I try to get back to the Abaddon Hotel for, Waldorf Estate of Fear is where it was shot. They have a fantastic haunt. I usually get back there every October and do it, and because I just any reason I can get back there just for nostalgia purposes, get back to the Abaddon is a lot of fun. The Waldorf, but up by me there's an amazing haunt, Field of Screams. And that
So
is
good.
I want to make sure I got that right, but anyways, it's such a great haunt up by me. I was up in the Scranton area, and I got to that for the first time last year. And it goes on it's a hayride, and it goes on for so long that they actually let the audience off the wagon for a potty break, because you're just going through different sets and getting off the wagon, back on the wagon, and doing so. It's so elaborate and amazing. It was one of the best I've ever been on.
Ian, have you been to that Field of
I'm
Screams?
sorry, it's not Field of Screams. Reaper's Revenge.
Oh,
That's
have
what
you
it's
heard of
called.
that one, Ian?
Yeah, I've heard of Reaper's Revenge. I've been to Field of Screams. It's similar
Yeah,
for
Field of
sure.
Screams where is Field of Screams? So that's not up by me. I'm trying to remember. I definitely got two mixed up though. But the one by me that I had for the first time last year is Reaper's Revenge, which blew me away.
You have to check that out for sure.
Did you use any of the like internal workings that I mean, I'm sure when you go to these haunts, they kind of like you might get a little bit more of like the insider kind of thing. Did you use some of the information that you got from all of the times that you've been to haunts to try to like orchestrate the first Hell House LLC film, since it's so like haunted house-esque?
No, so when I wrote the original Hell House, I did not know much about the internal workings of a haunted house. I just knew it from just a goer on Halloween, just going to a haunted hayride or something like that. But I didn't know. I wanted to research more about how they were made. I didn't know much about that going into it, so I had to do a lot of research, and I did. And then I found out like, oh, there's a whole haunt community out there. They do conventions, and it's such a big world. It's not it's just like some haunts here and there. It is a giant community of people. And that I got a lot of good information from. And then also Angie, who owns the Waldorf Estate of Fear, she was just like such a great collaborator because she does know how to make a haunt. And she had to be our behind the scenes Alex in that way, and really tell me what we can and can't do and how we should do in terms of making the haunt look like it is actually a haunted attraction and not just on our limited budget, it had to actually look good, like it was purposely done, and she did a great job. She was our set designer, so production designer on all three. But I think she made the haunt look fantastic. But that's all on her. Not really anything with me. I did some initial research just to be able to flesh Alex as a character out a little bit more. But in terms of actually creating the haunt for Hell House, yeah, that was all Angie and her team.
Yeah, I thought out of all three movies, the set design, or all four movies, the set designs were fucking phenomenal. I love that. That's another thing that resonates very well.
Mhm.
And
Yeah, and
as
then
go ahead.
Sophie Schneider is our set designer, production designer, wardrobe on the fourth one, which was first time we had someone who's dedicated. He's actually professionally does this for a living and is dedicated to the film because the fourth one called for a lot more than just we're not in the Abaddon Hotel. We're in different locations. They have to be set a certain way, and obviously we have period piece. We flash back to the 80s, so we need to make sure that the costumes are right, wardrobes are right too. And Sophie was the second time I was able to work with her, and she crushed that as well.
I love that you brought that up for the carnival aspect too for 4. I thought that was such a cool little tidbit you threw in there. I love the throwback for the carnival and the 80s stuff.
Yeah,
The origin.
Right. Yeah. That's I had that idea. So everything that comes out in 4 are story pieces that I've either wrote full scripts for or just kind of wrote like short stories about how Tully and his background and Patrick Carmichael and everything. I've had those ideas and background in my head for years now. And so I used this film to bring them out, but not obviously not fully. Just to show them at a little bit of tip of the iceberg kind of level, and there's much more to what we see there, but we get glimpses of who Patrick is, what happened in the cult, how the cult was formed, little pieces of it. But there's I was just very happy to be able to introduce those themes that are just in the back of my head or written down for so long, for years, and finally kind of give them a little life in the fourth one.
I was so happy to see Patrick in the Drown the Clown like outfit, and then like him
Yeah.
walking into that red room, like that is like the pseudo door to hell. It just, that was a brilliant scene, and it just kind of everything came full circle to me, and I'm like, oh my God, like this is like what it is. Like this is 3 movies, the culmination of 3 movies, and now I get this answer of like where these clowns come from, and
Yeah.
like, and then like Margot's like connection to the clowns, and like her escaping them when she was a younger girl, and I thought that Ford just kind of like, it's just that web that brings everything together. I mean, they all make sense on their own, but it webbed everything together, and then it just spirals off on its own to be its own thing
Yeah.
in its own universe.
Yeah, that was the intention. I really wanted to bring a lot more together and flesh out a lot more things, and but not just make the film all about just giving backstory. I wanted to be
Yeah.
a film that's moving forward while also connecting things as well, trying to do both at the same time. But yeah, you mentioned Patrick being back at the Abaddon Hotel, and so that's another thing. Like it's there. I've known this for a while, and I've finally wanted to get it out. Why the clown, and especially in the original Hell House, why it shows up in certain spots. So for the one scene, why was it at the top of the basement steps staring down? Why was it at the bottom of the stairway to the second floor staring up at them in the middle of the night? And there were reasons. There's backstory to what was going on in the hotel in the 80s to why this clown is showing up in specific areas. And so I was able to piece that together for at least that last one. We saw that that's where Patrick Carmichael, made his decision to seal his fate and go down into the basement, standing at the top of the steps, and that's exactly where we saw the clown in the original as well.
Just speaking of the clown, I know you wanted a kind of old school look, to have that kind of creepy clown look. My question though is the mask in particular, was that something that you kind of came across and probably altered a bit,
Yeah.
or was it something that you like that had made, that you had a vision for it and you had that mask made?
Yeah, so it's a little bit of both. So what happens, I did get concept art for the clown, and before we went into production, of what I wanted the clown to look like. And I sent it to a mask maker. The mask maker totally effed it up. We're one day away from filming, and I called Angie. I'm like, has the mask shown up yet? She's like, it has not shown up yet. So I called his mask maker, and he's like, oh, my basement flooded and all the masks were ruined. And I was like, it sounds sketchy. I don't know if I believe that story. But anyways, I'll take my money back if I can. And so now we're scrambling because we don't have that. And Angie did have a mask that was bare enough that we can alter it to what we want it and make it our own. But it had to be, because the whole concept, the original concept art, is kind of like a very pale face looking clown with dark eyes and some blood. So she was able to, and I have that in my Twitter feed somewhere. But I did post the original concept art, and it is very close to what we eventually came out with, but it was really just scrambling to get something to fit the original concept art at the very last minute. It was like, we need to find something. Thankfully, she had a clown mask that, because she has other clown masks that don't fit that at all. And if you see in the original movie, when they go down in the basement, there's other clowns down there too that aren't the Hell House clown. And they wouldn't fit for what we needed. They're, the big nose, the exaggerated features and everything like that. So thankfully we had something that we were able to, it was bare enough that we could make it our own and alter it to a way that it fit the original concept.
Do people run up to you at conventions and ask you to pay for their therapy bill for the clown stuff? Because I feel like if I saw you in public, I'd be like, here's the sleeping pills I now need to go to bed because I cannot go to sleep on my own anymore.
I've only been to one convention, and it was a lot of fun. I met a lot of fun horror fans there, a lot of fun Hell House fans too, and but nobody gave me a bill though, thankfully. But no, it was fun. It was just fun meeting Chiller Theater in New Jersey is where I went to. I was there in, what was it, April, I'm going to say maybe. And such a great weekend. So many good, fun horror fans, some horror icons were there, and then it was my first and only convention I've ever been to.
Do you plan on going to more?
Yeah, I would like to. Right now, I'm just so busy. I was invited to another one in I think it was like September or October, but I'm going in production in October for this last Hell House, and so I can't get to it. I can't do any traveling at that time.
So my favorite thing about each sequel, it adds more lore to each one. Are you allowed to talk about any of the lore, anything that you're going to add to Lineage? Like
Um,
what we can expect? Obviously, you don't have to give anything away.
mhm. So there's nothing I could say that it won't be a giveaway. So it's like we're back at the Carmichael Manor for a lot of scenes. We have some new locations. So we're not done with the Carmichael just yet. But the one thing I will say about it, and I know this is not popular with a lot of people, but it is not a found footage film. It is going to be a traditional narrative film.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's brilliant.
So I kind of feel like I've reached the point where I'm just not having fun writing found footage anymore. I just feel it just wasn't, and especially the story I wanted to tell for this last one, I'm like, it's like to make this found footage is gonna be like so hard to justify the camera being, it's like how many times can we justify they're recording all of this? I need the third person fly on the wall style and to tell this story. And so I wrote it, and I think it's just going to be better for it because it just, as I said, just finding the Carmichael Manor and the fourth one just like opened up the floodgates creatively for me. Also, moving away from found footage has done the same thing. It's just like kind of liberated me from a way where I have to force a camera and justify it in every scene. Where if I don't have to do it anymore, I can write so much more in a liberated way, and I think that's why I'm really excited. But also, it's going to make it a tougher production because it's not it's I love traditional filmmaking coverage and all that. Just that's what I learned when I went to school and everything like that. So that's where I want to be, but it's also a tougher film to film because every scene has going to have like 7, 8, 9 different camera setups. It's going to extend our time on set rather than just having that one camera setup for every scene. And that's why we shoot Hell House in like 11, 12 days, usually, or even 10 days if we had to. This one's going to be like it's going to be tight to get this in. And we're probably going to be filming for like 16 or 17 days. And it's going to be tough to get it all this in.
In juxtaposition to what you said about people not being happy about you stepping away from found footage, I feel like anybody that's a fan of you that's followed your work since 2015, they're going to want the very best. I mean, not the very best, but they're going to want like your very best work is going to come from something that you enjoy.
Yeah, that's what I'm
And
hoping. Is just like I'm
yeah,
hoping that people are just a fan of the scares and not the format alone. And because I think the scares that if you like Hell House were the style of scares, then you're going to get that a lot in this new film. And I think it's just a different way now too. It's going to be a little different than you've seen over the course of 4 films. I think it's just also a way just to keep it fresh and interesting. So I'm hoping that I know and I am too a lover of found footage. So I'm hoping that people that like Hell House because it's found footage still will like it, even if it's not. But it still has to deliver in the scares. You can't just switch formats and then it's less scary. Then I would understand that people aren't going to like it. What I'm saying is I think people are going to like it a lot more because I think it's going to be scarier because it's not found footage.
That's
do you
exactly
have
what
more resources for this film than in
Wait, what?
previous films? Because I know you would pointed to the other films being like small independent films. Do you feel that like as has gone by, you have like more resources for this new one?
Never,
No.
never, never, and never have enough time, never have enough resources. Although the only time I felt completely comfortable in everything in terms of resources and time was Carmichael Manor. And not because we had more budget or anything like that. I just feel like I don't know, for some reason that was just a good shoot. And everything about I think it's because I had been away from it for so long, I was able to put so much time into planning the production. By the time we got to the set, I had every frame mapped out, and every second of every beat of the film had been in my head for over a year already. That production went very smooth, and then we just worked with, as I said, just very, very talented people. Not just in front of the actors were amazing, and I love them, and they're great together. They had their camaraderie, just like the other cast did, but also behind the camera, like every person on that crew, and they all lived together at the Carmichael Manor, which is fun for, I think, everyone. That brought everyone together very well. The fact that you're shooting there, but you're also living there. And that was fun for a lot of reasons. But yeah, so I just think I don't know, what was the question? I don't know why I'm talking about that. No, yeah, what were we talking about?
It was just about you having like more resources to do number
Oh,
5
yeah.
versus when
And
you had
yes,
number
and
1.
No. To answer your question, no. Darn it, damn it, no, I don't. I wish I did. I say that with a bit of anger. I am still making these films on a very shoestring budget, but I think it's okay. I think we'll be okay. I think because I think I know the people who are working on it are very good, and I know the scares are there, and so I don't think, I don't need $1 million to make this film. I wouldn't need it anyway. Even if someone offered, I would be like, I don't need that.
Sorry, Colby, what were you going to ask before I interrupted you for like the ninth time?
You're good. You're good. I was gonna say, so obviously, found footage is my absolute favorite subgenre. But hearing that this isn't found footage, that actually excites me more because it's something, like you were saying, completely different. So I'm even more hyped on Lineage.
Cool. Yeah, no, I'm very excited about this film. I think I'm glad you said that, because that's how I'm hoping people are, because I've been making my storyboards and shot lists and everything these last few weeks. And I'm like myself, I'm like a little giddy, like a kid. Once I finish shots, I'm like, ooh, this is going to be spooky. If we pull this off, this is going to be good. And so I'm myself getting very excited as we're 3 months out from shooting. And as I said, that 3 months out from shooting, I just I got a pit in my stomach, being like, oh, I still have a lot to do. We're 3 months out, so I just gave myself night terrors. Great.
No, I have to. Oh, go ahead, Ian.
Sorry. I was gonna say, yeah, Terror Film sent us out the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, no, that was a teaser. And I've always wanted to do something like that. So once I wrote the first draft of the script, I just had this thing in my head. I'm like, I want to put together a little visual, and that was for me to get excited about. I love making little visuals like that for myself, and just like so I put it together, and I was like, I like this. I want to tease the F out of this movie and build up momentum, even though we're over a year out from when it's coming out. But I just got so excited when I finished when I really completed the draft, the script, and I was like, I want to make a visual to come along with this. And then Terror talked to Shudder about allowing me to put it out, that little fun teaser I made, to put it out wide, and that was great. They allowed us to do it, and we put it out. But yeah, that was fun.
Teaser that you two got? Oh, that must be nice. You guys got teaser trailers, did you? What happened?
What's that?
I guess Terror Films mailed them or sent them both trailers, teaser trailers for the film. Because didn't you guys?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna say. But
Yeah.
what Ian said was, when Sarah from Terror Films emailed me, I
Yeah.
was literally getting ready to go see Longlegs, and I was already running late. But I got that email, and I was like, no way. And I dropped everything I was doing. And then I was like, I'm jumping on right now to make a video about this and release it real quick, and then I'll go see Longlegs.
Privilege.
Yeah, no, it's a fun teaser, just because what I like. I did this after the original came out, and I didn't know we were going to make any more films, but I put out like what does the Abaddon look like now? What's going on in the Abaddon now? And just like spooky, this ghostly old abandoned hotel still there, waiting for more souls. And then but I want to do something similar with Carmichael and show the Carmichael in the snow. So obviously I
So it looks like The Overlook.
Yeah, it does have that vibe to it, but and we do the flyover of the Carmichael Woods, and where Margot and Rebecca had their moments in the woods, and and just we do the musical number. But I've shot all these elements the summer before and this winter, purposely because I wanted to use some of these elements to tease the film. So the winter shots of the Carmichael and then the clown at the end, and I got that last September at the Abaddon too. The clown in the cornfield, in the corn stalks. I just and it worked out perfectly because I was with Adam Schneider, who plays Mac. And we were both at the Abaddon, just meeting fans one day. It was like September, and there was like the storm clouds rolled in, and it was dark, and the wind was whipping. And I was like, I told him, I was like, I know we got to go back to the hotel right now, but I want to get the clown in the cornstalk, just take a video, and get it. I was like, I know I'm going to use this for something, and I was able to use it to tease the fifth one.
No, it's such a cool shot. That's the one thing that stood out to me too, that is still in my brain, is that shot. So yeah, I'm stoked for part 5 for sure. But speaking of the future, and I know you mentioned it briefly earlier, 825 Forest Road. Can we look forward to seeing that at some point?
I don't know. It's not up to me. It's out of my hands. The producers of that film are, I think they're trying to find a home for it somewhere, but I am not in on those conversations, so I have no idea what's going on with it. I do have another script that I've written, and I'm hoping I'm going to be able to make in 2025. That is, I do think it's the scariest thing I've ever written, and I can't wait
No
to make
way.
it. And it's original. It's not Hell House. I don't even know if I'm allowed to say the name of it yet, just because there's that's it. That's all.
Would I be able to ask what genre it orbits around? Maybe creature feature?
No.
Sorry. I had to try.
Yeah. No.
Steven, another thing we always ask the directors we talk to, if you ever need an extra to kill on screen, do whatever you want, free of charge, do not ever hesitate to ask any of us. I'm in Chicago, Ian's in Pittsburgh, and Taylor's in right outside of LA. So
I will fly and house my
Chicago does direct flights to Scranton, so that's why I know Chicago. The only two places you can get directly out of Scranton is Charlotte and Chicago. That's
okay.
it.
But
I'll
yeah,
do
if you ever
layovers.
need
I'll
extras,
do whatever it takes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you say the word, I'll be in the car.
Yeah.
On my
Yeah,
way.
Ian just got to drive.
Yeah, it's a 5-hour drive from Pittsburgh. Not bad.
But no, I just wanted to say thank you so much for giving us your time. Like when I emailed Sarah, I was like, I'm just gonna go out of my way. I'm just gonna pull the trigger. Like it won't hurt to ask. And when she emailed me back, like it was one of the most excited things I've ever been like pumped up for. So you
Sarah's
giving
the
us your
best.
time.
So I got to finally meet Sarah in person. She came out to the Telluride Horror Fest when we premiered Origins back in October. So that was another thing when I said I went to Telluride for the original. I actually went back with the fourth one to Telluride, and that was just a great experience. And Sarah was there. She came out and she met me, and we hung out and watched Sarah at Terror Film. She's a fantastic person.
She's amazing. She's one of my favorite people that I talk to that I'm on a PR team for. So
yeah,
I think she's at the top of my list of my favorite is Terror.
Yeah, absolutely.
But before we get off, is there anything else that you want to add or talk about?
No, 825. I don't know what the story is with that. That is also it's a ghost story. It's a haunted house story at its bones. I'm really excited for that to come out if it ever does. But the fifth Hell House will be next October, and then in sometime in 2025 I'll be shooting my script that I don't know if I can even name yet, but I think it's this one will be very scary.
I do have one question before you go, and it's very, very, very quick. So this has kind of been like a long running thing ever since the first episode that we all did together. It's a question that I ask all of our guests. Sometimes it's me, sometimes Mr. Colby. Next time it'll probably be Ian, because I will assign this to you, Ian. If you could direct a film from any franchise with an unlimited budget, what franchise would you like to dip into? Or if you could start your own, what would you do?
I actually tweeted about this recently. Actually, so my dream job would have been to have landed The Exorcist.
Oh,
And
Flanagan.
Yeah, but if it can't be me, then I'm so happy it's Mike Flanagan because I'm such a huge fan of his. Like everything he does is wonderful and chilling to the bone. So it has landed in great hands. So I'm like, okay, I can see why they didn't come knocking on my door. They had Flanagan.
He's the only one that can scare me just like you scare me, Steven. Both of you guys. Just
No,
don't want me to sleep ever
yeah,
again.
yeah. But yeah, that's a good question. I thought about that too. But I'm an original guy. I like writing original works. But if I were to step into some other IP or something like that, yeah, The Exorcist, because that's my favorite horror movie of all time, is the original. So
Oh yeah.
yeah.
I love that. Well,
Can
again,
I ask you guys a question really quick? Are you guys
absolutely.
old friends? Like, how do you guys all know each other? You guys said you guys are good friends, but you are different parts of the map. How did you guys get together?
We are all actually content creators on TikTok. We're in the horror community. Like all we do are review horror movies, and we literally met on TikTok and we all vibed like the closest out of anybody. So we're like, we need to start a podcast.
Cool. Yeah.
So we have been sitting down with horror directors. I don't know how cringy it is to like actually like name drop the directors that we have sat down with. So I don't want to like do that and look a certain way. But yeah, no, we email people, we take shots and we respect what they do. We're super fans of everything that like you guys create. So there's like an endless list of questions we could ask. So I'm glad that somebody ended this because I would have kept going. I materialized questions.
No, and I'm flattered you guys asked me to come on though, and thank you for reaching out. I really appreciate that.
No, like I wasn't kidding. Like the last episode we recorded, we talked about a guest wish list.
Yeah.
And my two were Spencer Charnas and you. So like that happening, like this is such a huge thing for me personally.
Yeah. We never know who's going to reply or who's going to give us the time of day. And it's so nice to actually like pull the curtain up a little bit and like, you guys are people and like you guys go to work and this is your work and you hope that we like it rather than just this huge motion picture that is a representation of you. And like you are behind this huge motion picture to actually get a chance to person with you is we're beyond grateful. And I don't even think I have the words.
I'm glad you guys do that as well. Cause I too like to see that too when I'm watching podcasts and listening. And I like seeing the human element behind a lot of things that I enjoy. So I think that's a good way to look at it.
And
yeah,
also
we know you're
okay.
super busy too. So we always appreciate you taking time out to hang out and talk with us for sure.
Cool. No, it was an honor, guys. Appreciate
And
it.
before or after 5 releases, we would love to have you back on to talk about 5 when you can talk more about Lineage. That would be amazing.
100%. If when that comes out and if you guys liked it enough and enough to invite me back on, I would gladly come back on.
That's awesome. Again,
and I'm telling everybody that we're friends.
Yeah.
Vic.
It's going both ways. Absolutely. Yeah.
I love that. Well, hey, thank you guys for listening. And don't forget to check out all of Stephen Cognetti's work in the show notes. We will post everything, all the socials. So again, thank you guys.
Don't let the ghosts and the ghouls disturb you.
There you go. That's it.